Okay, welcome to Facebook Live for GD's promotional interviews with Sheila Lord. Hello, Sheila. How are you this evening?
I'm very, very good. How are you?
That's good to know. Yeah, not bad. A bit of a stressful day, but I'm good. On it. But you look out the window and it's quite miserable and dreary. But hey.
We've still got snow here. I don't know if it snowed where you are.
Oh, yeah. We've had a bit of a lorry load, you know.
Yeah, it's just about clearing for us now.
What's it like down in where you are with the? I know it's the same for everybody at the minute, and said about the sad times and all this thing, but the lockdown, how's it affecting you?
Well, I count myself a bit lucky because I'm in a bit of countryside. So when it's been sunny, obviously not during the snow, there's been quite a few nice walks and it's not too crowded. So I count my blessings that I've had that to sort of, it hasn't felt like I've been quite so locked in. Recently with the snow, it's felt a little bit more like that. But otherwise, yeah, just trying to count my blessings and musically, it's been quite nice actually. I've sort of, stayed in and forced myself to play the guitar and sort of learn more things and listen to loads of music. But actually sort of recording music, obviously it's a bit more challenging. I've had to do quite a bit of that remotely. So that was interesting, but trying to stay positive with it all.
Yeah, and also, like I've said to many artists about getting out there, socially with the open mic stuff and gigging, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't happen at the moment.
Yeah, so
But
I did my first. Oh, sorry.
There's hopefully light at the end of the tunnel, isn't there?
Yeah, hopefully. So I really miss playing live, and it's quite interesting now because I did my first live stream the other day, and it's quite strange sort of talking to a device and sort of, ending a song and there's sort of not being that interaction and that sort of, that banter with the audience and that, that response when you finished a song. So it's quite a lot to get used to. And similarly, just with the sort of social media age, a lot of things are now sort of like with TikToks, 30 seconds, like tops really, and stories. So I've sort of been following that trend and sort of learning a bit of a song and doing that. And then when I did this live stream, I did Hold Up, which is now out, which is my song, little plug, and a cover. And even just learning a 3-minute 30 song again off by heart was a bit like, wow, I haven't done this in quite a while because everything's so bite-sized at the minute.
Yeah, so it's not the best thing to do though, is it, doing online, but it's the only thing we have at the minute. So we have to make the most of it, right?
Yeah. To be fair, it was a live stream. I've watched other live streams, but it was quite interesting because I still got the same sort of like buzz and the butterflies before I went live, and I didn't really know how it would feel not having an audience directly in front of me, but I did get the same sort of like butterflies and things like that. And then seeing the sort of comments come up and the sort of likes and hearts that you get, it was really, really lovely. And yeah, that's the best we can do at the moment. So it's still lovely that people are willing to sort of watch on a device and still have that interaction that way.
Absolutely. And so tell us a bit about you then. How did you get into this crazy music world that we're in, as songwriters?
He's quite so I started quite a while ago, to be honest, like a good, I'm going to say, how old am I now? Yeah, 10 years ago.
Going there. I was never going there with that. I don't touch age. I don't touch age.
I think I look younger than I am. So I'm 30. 30 years old. So I feel like
36. I'm 36.
Oh, nice, good. How is it 6 years down the line? Is it good still?
It feels the same as been. I don't know, like it just feels the same, I guess.
Good.
Just I don't know. You just feel like a little bit more like your legs are a bit like. I can't get out of bed as easy. I don't know.
Especially with lockdown, all your joints just don't start working anymore.
That's right. Yeah, you don't know if it's a virus or not. You know what I mean?
So yeah, music's always sort of been there for me. Like I grew up listening to the Beatles. My dad had their anthologies on double-sided cassette tapes. I always sort of grew up with sort of like folky music and started to learn the guitar, and loved performing. And I got a chance to sort of do it professionally for a while. But it just I sort of fell out of love with it. And I don't think the timing was right at that stage. You know, I was living at home, and I'd sort of, you know, put my all into it, all my finances as well, bless them, my mum and dad as well, did it. And at one point I sort of was just like, you know what, I think I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna sort of do the normal life stuff, I guess. I sort of fell out of love with it for a while. And only recently, probably the last few years, I played a gig again. It was really lovely. It was called Pin Drop Sessions. It was completely unplugged. It was just a gorgeous atmosphere. And some of my friends recorded videos of me playing, and then an old producer that I used to work with sort of got back in touch. And someone who'd seen me a while ago, who's now my manager, messaged me, and it all sort of fell into my lap and fell out of the sky just at the right time again, where I'd got married. I've bought a house with my partner, and it felt more stable that I could still do music and it not be, you know, it just be workable. Because like back in the day, it was like that was everything, and I, you know, had to put all my time into it. And I think I've got a really good team around me now, and I feel a lot more self-assured as well. I mean, I think sometimes you forget with younger artists and stuff, like Billie Eilish just amazes me because she's so young, but she's got so much maturity and emotion in her music and her lyrics. And when I sort of look back, you know, I'm like, gosh, like I'm really glad actually that I had that journey and I stopped for a bit and came back to it, because I think I've grown a lot for that actually.
Yeah, so would you class her as one of your influences, or have you got like many artists that you look at and think pin-up artists? That's what I'm going to get to. Your pin-up where you go to just to chill out, I guess, or, you know, to get you in the mood for writing. Is there any artist that does that for you?
I feel like I'm quite eclectic. So growing up, it was sort of like the more folky artists, because I really grew up with like these sort of 60s artists like the Beatles and Joni Mitchell and things like that. Hence why I sort of was quite, acoustic, like folky back in the day. And then actually I came to a lot of sort of more, if you want to call it like hip, cool music, a lot later in the day. So things like Eminem, I wasn't really listening to at the time it came out, because I was quite influenced by my dad's music, and he wasn't really into rap, being sort of like a 60s, you know, like hippie. And then later enough, when I started listening to his lyrics, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I sort of started to get into hip hop and the sort of influences of blues. So it really, really varies. I've actually got an artist playlist on Spotify. I only recently did it, and it really goes through all the genres. But I'd say now I sort of do lean towards more sort of bluesy things. I love Fiona Apple because I think she's got that sort of like grit but blues at the same time. It's really, I love her voice and her style.
When you're songwriting, in terms of songwriting, do you think about these people when you're writing, or do you just try to stay true to yourself? Because a lot of people do that, don't they, where they try and write like that artist and it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's that saying that all writing is rewriting, isn't it? It's sometimes it's how authentic can you be sometimes when, you know, we've got these influences. I think sometimes I am sort of inspired by a certain sort of vibe, so to speak, or a genre, and be like, I really want to sort of like try and write something like that. But normally it just sort of comes from an emotion, I guess, or like when I've been working with a producer, because sometimes I'll write songs just on the guitar, and then other times I've sort of top lined over existing tracks. So you sort of just get the emotion of that track. And what I've actually been quite proud of more recently is exploring writing about things that aren't necessarily raw or, you know, personal experiences. I do think those sorts of songs are just the most beautiful. They have an edge to them. But I do think there's a talent to be able to write a song that isn't like so raw and heartbreaking, and sort of something that you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, or even just as a story. I love those songs that are almost just a story or a snapshot of someone else, like they're almost watching someone else. I find that it's almost like a book, but with a melody behind it.
Yeah, and another thing I've been saying as well about music is, it can relate so much memories. Somehow, I don't know how it does it, but it's like, this is a funny story. Like the Backstreet Boys, right? I know. I was only like 13, at the time, and before I got into proper music. I'm not saying the Backstreet Boys ain't proper music for any Backstreet fans.
The Backstreet Boys, I'd be jamming to the Backstreet Boys.
But for some strange reason, when I was left school, I was leaving school one day, and Quit Playing Games with My Heart came on, and that was just out, that song, and this is how I remember it. And I said to the taxi driver, I was getting a taxi home, and I said, "Can you just turn the radio up?" I don't know why, but I really loved that song when it was out. And I was into, like, I don't want to embarrass myself here, but I was into Steps. I'll say it, admit it. And a few of the Spice Girls songs was really good as well. So, and it evokes memories of when I was like 14, 15, and that's powerful with music, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for, there's some artists there that aren't necessarily in, the pop charts and are like pop music, but I don't really have this sort of feeling of, that music is better or worse. Like Steps and Backstreet Boys, definitely, they've got their place, and they're such good jams to just be happy to and listen to. And sometimes you need a break, especially as like an artist as well. If you're constantly listening to sort of like heartbreak and really raw music, you do need a break from that. And I think only recently, and with Hold Up, it's got a bit of a sort of sad message to it, in a way, because it's about not being sure if the person you're with really wants to be with you, but it's just sort of quite bluesy and hip hoppy. But back in the day, again, when I was writing with my guitar mostly, it was sort of like heartbreak songs, and I was younger and angstier, and it was all about, heartbreak and this boy doesn't love me and that sort of stuff. And I think writing happy songs and boppy songs is actually quite difficult.
So how quick do songs come to you?
Oh, it really depends. So normally if I'm in the studio, we will sort of try and write one in a day, really. So like, maybe like, we'll say like sort of 6 hours. So it's quite quick. And I do pride myself on my lyrics. I do really like to sort of play with words and things. If I'm sort of at home and with my guitar, you sort of got an endless amount of time with that. I normally get to a verse and a chorus and then I'll stop.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. And then I'll go on to another song and I'll get 3 songs and then turn them into one and then roll it together. Sometimes I do.
I find the second verse the hardest, because you've told the story up to a point, and then the second verse is really where you've got to think, well, what else needs to be said in this song that isn't just sort of a repeat of the first verse. So that's normally how it goes for me. I'll normally stop there, be quite happy with that, and then I'll have to sort of come back to it for the second verse. I do really struggle with verses, if I'm honest.
I can write a good song and whatever, but I do struggle with the verses. So I'm like, they grind me down. So I take myself away from it and come back, give a break. I never, and then I think, and then I start writing, and then I get another chord and think, start writing another song over it, Yeah, it's a bit strange experience, but I love the way that a creation can come together. I love the magic of it,
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I think that's the really interesting thing about it. There's no real sort of right or wrong way. With another song I did where it was I was just doing it over a track. I really sort of felt the vibe of the track, and I came up with sort of the chorus melody first. And I don't do that very often. It's normally verse chorus, but I came up with the chorus first. And then the verses were actually sort of a lot easier, because sometimes when I'm writing, I don't necessarily know what it's going to be about yet, or how that arc is going to go necessarily. So that was quite nice, that one, because it was like, okay, well, this is my chorus, this is my core. The other verse is sort of like, if you know what your main sort of plot is, it's almost like a crime novel, isn't it? If you know your ending, then you can sort of work out all the events coming up to it.
So tell us a bit more about the new song, Hold Up.
So yeah, it's been a long time coming. I did that in the studio before lockdown. I really miss the feeling of being in a studio. And yeah, it was I got sent the track first of all and sort of like wrote remotely before I went in and recorded it. And it's quite interesting actually, because when I first did it from home, it was different. And then when I was in with the producer, we sort of bounced off each other. And one of the main hooks that I'd sort of come up with previously then became the chorus. I love co-writing as well, because it's really nice sort of bouncing ideas off of people. And similarly, the first verse was the second verse, and we switched them because we preferred the second verse that I wrote and sort of thought it was stronger. But yeah, it's fun. It was nice to be able to, again, vibe to sort of a produced track as opposed to just guitar, and it's got this sort of like bluesy hip hop feel, and it's chill, and I think it's still authentic. You can feel like that it's got emotion to it, but at the same time it's something you could still have on in the background. You could sort of just nod your head to. I think it's a nice sort of medium. So yeah.
Would you say that's one of your personal favorites yourself, or do you have another one that you've done that's kind of up there?
So this is the first song we've released, but I've got a collection of 5 that are going to be coming out over sort of the next few weeks. We'll release sort of one at a time, and there's the whole sort of save the best for last type thing. So there's one song we did together, which is the first song me and this producer wrote together, and that one is sort of a sort of raw, personal, emotional one, and yeah, that's got a special space in my heart. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. But, you know, I think it was nice to sort of lead with something that sort of, you know, it's chill. You get a feel for my voice and the blues and things like that. Because I do sort of go across genres a little bit, because obviously you've got the guitar and it's folky as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one to come out.
Yeah, so Hold Up is out there on most platforms?
Yeah, all streaming platforms. Yep.
Yeah, good. That's Amazon, by the way, Spotify, iTunes. Yeah, the works there. Okay.
Got it on everything.
Go there, go and buy it, guys. Sheila Lord's Hold Up. So where can people find out more about you? If you've got any Facebook pages, websites, plug them away.
Yeah, so all the socials. So you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Still quite new to the TikTok world, and that's what I sort of mentioned earlier about sort of bite-sized content. You sort of get lost because everything's like 15, 30 seconds, and just like before you know it, 2 hours have gone by. But I'm on there. Do follow me. I'm trying to sort of post more personality-based things as well on TikTok, as opposed to just music, which I sort of started off to do, obviously, because I'm an artist and a musician. But this is why it's so lovely to be able to do an interview with yourself, because it's nice to be able to show who you are as a person as well. You know,
have like 20 minutes rather than 45 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Twitter's like that. Twitter does like 45-second videos only, you know, and it's like, what? Why? I don't get their platform, but you know.
Yeah, it's attention span, isn't it? Especially in lockdown. So I find myself doing it. I'll be like, oh, that's a cool video, I'll like it, and then I won't even watch it till the end. It's quite fascinating.
You know, on TikTok, just think about Savage Love, and there you are. You know, he made the song up through TikTok.
Yeah.
It's repetitive, and it just repetitive for 40 seconds, and everyone was on it, weren't they? That's all it takes.
Yeah, and the sea shanties, that was one that you weren't expecting to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But that was nice. I loved that. I thought that was so.
Way to go! Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But you never know these things.
It's fantastic. Anyway, Sheila, thank you very much for your interview. It's been cool to talk to you.
Amazing. So lovely to talk to you too. I hope you have a very nice evening. So it was a bit stressful today. So I hope you have a nice glass of wine and can chill out.
Well, I don't drink wine.
Oh, I'll have one for you then.
Level-headed. All right. Stay safe and best of luck with your song Hold Up and everything else that you're doing right now.
Thank you. You
Okay.
too.
Bye.